Hello, the Pioneer viewers. We continue to bring you the most noteworthy news developing in the shadow of war. Sometimes news from the year can be as critical as the fighting itself. After all, war is not just about major offensives and airstrikes. A single operation can shake the entire balance of power. The development we will share with you today is precisely of this nature. An incident that took place on the Pokrovsk front in eastern Ukraine, which is becoming increasingly strategic, holds important clues about the course of the war. In a sudden operation carried out by the Ukrainian National Guard, a Russian soldier and two collaborators were captured. At first glance, it may seem like a routine arrest, but it actually opens the door to much bigger questions. Who these people are, their objectives in the region, and whether they have any connection to operations carried out on Ukrainian territory are all matters of curiosity. The capture of a Russian soldier and his transfer to headquarters for integration by the Ukrainian army could be a new turning point in terms of intelligence. This is because at this stage of the war, every piece of information obtained through interrogation plays a critical role not only on the front lines but also in strategic decision-making processes. New details that may emerge from the interrogation of collaborators could expose Russia's activities in the region. This is of great importance both in terms of strengthening Ukraine's defense lines and shaping counterattack plans more accurately. Now let's examine the background of this incident together. We need your support to produce detailed content related to the Russia-Ukraine war. You can provide this by clicking the like button and leaving a comment. Also, don't forget to mention what kind of content you would like to see on our channel. The Rubizh Rapid Response Brigade, affiliated with the Ukrainian National Guard, captured a Russian soldier and two collaborators during an operation on the Pokrovsk front in the Donetsk region. This development shows that the war is not just about fierce fighting on the front lines, but also reveals deep problems within the Russian army's internal structure. The operation carried out by the Rubizh Brigade was the result of intelligence gathering and reconnaissance activities that had been ongoing for some time. Brigade members observed movement on Russian army supply routes near the front lines. Initially, it was thought that a small logistics group was passing through, but detailed observations and images collected by unmanned aerial vehicles revealed that there was a different type of activity in the area. Ukrainian soldiers tracked these suspicious movements and determined that a low-ranking soldier affiliated with the Russian army and two individuals living in the Donetsk region were hiding in the area. The critical moment of the operation took place shortly after midnight. The reconnaissance unit belonging to the Rubizh regiment advanced silently as it approached enemy lines. Thanks to electronic warfare support, the Russian side's communication lines were temporarily cut off. This prevented the trio in the area from calling for help. Ukrainian forces completely surrounded the area and carried out a sudden raid. There was no serious conflict during the operation because the people on the other side chose to surrender as soon as they realized the Ukrainian soldiers were approaching. The story of the captured group is as striking as the operation itself. One of the detainees was an ordinary soldier sent to the front from different regions of Russia. According to his own account, he was sent to the front, not voluntarily, but out of necessity. The soldier, who spoke of the senselessness of the war and the lack of discipline in the Russian army, admitted that he had considered surrendering at the first opportunity. The other two individuals captured with him were civilians living in the Donetsk region, while in prison, that is, they had signed contracts with the Russian armed forces. Since the beginning of the war, the Russian army has been trying to fill its human resource gap by sending people from prisons to the front lines. This situation clearly reveals the desperation in Moscow's military strategies. The Ukrainian National Guard's statement emphasized that the reasons for these individuals' surrender were quite simple but also tragic. The statement drew attention to the Russian Federation's approach to governance, which indiscriminately drags everyone to the front lines and disregards human life. It was also noted that morale in the Russian army is extremely low and logistical support has almost completely collapsed. Under these conditions, many soldiers and collaborators have lost their will to fight, leading to an increase in surrenders. The Rubizh Brigade's operation is not only a military success, but also points to a major gap in Russia's war strategy. The backgrounds of these three captured individuals clearly reveal who the Russian army is trying to fight. One is a drug-addicted transporter. The others are people released from prison. As the war approaches its third year, the Moscow administration is now trying to fight not with regular soldiers, but with people gathered from prisons and forcibly sent to the front. This situation destroys the professionalism of the army and increases indiscipline at the front. The Ukrainian side announced that these detainees had been sent to a secure center for interrogation. The interrogations will reveal not only the stories of these three individuals, but also the inner workings of Russia's methods of supplying soldiers to the front. Many prisoners had been taken before, and their statements proved that the Russian army was suffering from a serious manpower shortage. The latest group captured by the Rubizh regiment confirms this picture once again. This development on the Pokrovsk front is also of great moral importance, that is, for Ukraine, because such operations are not only a tactical success, but also provide psychological superiority. Russia's reliance on people gathered from prisons instead of regular troops on the front line is boosting the Ukrainian army's resistance. In particular, the National Guard's ability to rout the enemy with such operations reinforces the sense of security behind the front lines. On the other hand, this incident shows that Russia is falling into an increasingly difficult situation, suffering heavy losses on the front lines. The Moscow administration is trying every means to compensate for these losses. Rounding up people from prisons, conscripting drug addicts, and forcibly sending unwilling individuals to the front are the clearest signs of this desperation. The statements of those who surrendered confirm this picture. No morale, inadequate logistical support, and disbelief in the war. This operation, carried out by the Rubizh Brigade, provides important indications about the course of the war. While demonstrating the Ukrainian army's disciplined and planned maneuverability, it also reveals the factors accelerating the collapse of the Russian army. It is expected that the number of such operations will increase in the coming period, because every day more and more Russian soldiers and collaborators are choosing to surrender. At this stage of the war, psychological and moral factors are becoming as decisive as weapons. In conclusion, this operation on the Pokrovsk front is a small-scale event with great significance. The Ukrainian army not only captured 3 people, but also exposed cracks in Russia's will to fight once again. So, what do these arrests mean? How could the Ukrainian National Guard's operation change the balance of power in the region? And most importantly, what clues does it offer about the Russian army's strategies? Share your thoughts in the comments. We read and value your opinions.